For this demo, we really wanted to show a bunch of different things that you're going to see in the game and give you sort of a feeling of what it's going to feel like to play this game. This demo is set early in the game and does represent what should be a real gameplay section. It's important to remember, though, that this is a game still deep in development and elements are subject to change.
We've shown the demo the first time at E3 and we were sort of overwhelmed with the reactions. As developers, you tend to be very close to the project that you're working on. The issue is also that we feel that when we show something to the public, it's basically like committing to what we're showing, be it gameplay mechanics, the art, the storytelling, the quest. However, ultimately, in the end, when you put the puzzle together, even pieces that look good initially might not fit.
In Cyberpunk, it's really important. Individuality is very important. It's important to carve out a space for yourself by sort of declaring, this is me, this is who I am, and making things your own. It's important that we give you choices in this game. At CD Projekt, that's a big part of what we do, is give you choices. And those choices make the story your own.
You can customize your character, you can customize your weapons, you can customize the way you play, and all these tools you bring together is ultimately what will shape your experience in Night City.
In the demo that we're showing, you don't tell Royce about the bug on the chip and it fries the systems and combat immediately begins. In the version that we were showing at Gamescom, it's also possible to let him know about the chip beforehand and the virus on it. If that happens, he's actually somewhat grateful, though a bit of a jerk about it. In the demo, we wanted to show you combat, so we never resolve that situation non-violently, but it is an option.
One of the hardest things to do when transitioning from the pen and paper system all the way to a video game, I mean, they're inherently very different experiences, right? Pen and paper games mostly live off the narration, the imagination in your head, whereas in video game, you actually need to go out and make all of it.
Night City, like many cyberpunk cities, is a place rippling with texture. And we really want you to interact with that texture. You know, you look around and you see all these signs and you see print everywhere, you see media all over the place. Those things should change in response to what you do in the world.
One thing I hope players really notice is how well our storytelling works with the first-person perspective. For us, the first-person perspective we now have in Cyberpunk is sort of the natural evolution from our previous games, because ultimately we've always been storytellers and we feel that with the first person we can really tell stories that pull you in and make you feel like you're in there and you are experiencing them.
In the demo, you know, you see all these interesting characters walking around and you can interact with a lot of those guys. And you know, some of them might offer you quests, some might offer you something smaller, but we want to make sure that everywhere you go there's something interesting to see, something interesting to do.
A big part of that is our dialogue system that is now fully gameplay driven. We're showcasing this in the demo in parts. You can see that most of the interaction prompts you only really get when you look at certain things, be it at people, you need to look at them to converse with them, and likewise you'll be able to walk around and in conversations and look at objects, right? You'll see, I don't know, a tattoo on a person's arm and you'll be able to comment on it. It might actually influence the outcome of the conversation. Maybe the guy thinks that's very cool, you're now his buddy, maybe it doesn't.
Biggest difference between taking something from pen and paper to video games is that the processing power of the human brain still outstrips anything that you have you know, on PC or console. And what we really have to do is we have to take anything that you can imagine and we actually have to make it and put it into the world.
So we're trying to push the interactivity of the world by adding in details from the physical side. The game will be highly physical, will have a lot of destruction. You can see that in the demo when you're in the scavengers area and you shoot at the pillars and they start crumbling. But ultimately it's always a question of what we can do. Every platform only has so much performance, and if you think about it, as a developer, how do you want to route this performance? Do you want to have more NPCs? Do you want to have, you know, to fill a large city space, or do you want the environments to be more destructible? Do you want the lighting to be better, or do you want to have more complex AI? All of these you need to sort of balance against each other and figure out what it is where you want to go and what your, say, ultimate dish will be from the recipe you're using.
The original Cyberpunk 2020 was a complicated critique of the times in which it was, and it was dressed up in this very gonzo sensibility. And we're making an adaptation of that that also involves a lot of mature themes and mature storylines. We have various sexual relationships in the game, romantic relationships in the game. There's nudity, there's a lot of violence. It's not just nudity for nudity's sake or violence for violence sake. This is a world where people are literally turned into objects by the systems, by the powers that be. And, you know, part of that is showing that.
The world of Cyberpunk is not a nice, beautiful place that just everyone is happy. It is inherently dystopian, and we want to portray this gruesome side of life, the reality of gunfights with super advanced weapons in a world where people augment themselves with arms and military level cyberware that just is there to kill people, right? Likewise, when we run around with our weapons start shooting at people, there can be a relatively high degree of gore, and this all is to add weight to the world and really give life to our vision of what is very much a dark version of the future.
One of the things that we use when we're thinking about this game and about Cyberpunk in general is actually one of Mike Pondsmith's aphorisms. Mike Pondsmith being the creator of Cyberpunk 2020. He says, in Cyberpunk, it's not possible to save the world, it's only possible to save yourself. Many of us at CD Projekt grew up playing Cyberpunk 2020. And at least for me, I know that I've had some piece of Night City living in my head for a very long time. And what we really want to do with Cyberpunk 2077 is give the feeling of being in Night City to players of a new generation.
I want people to really be able to get into the game world, immerse themselves and lose them within our Cyberpunk universe. Just strolling the streets, being able to pick out the stories that they want their character to engage in and really become part of this world that we've created.
There's no one major next step for what we need to do. It's a lot of little things, and we have a lot of work left to do. What's important for us is that we take the enthusiasm that we've seen at E3 and at Gamescom, take that and don't let it go to our heads. We've got to stay humble, we've got to knuckle down, and we've got to get the work done. But we're really excited that people are excited, and we thank everybody for their support.
I just genuinely hope that people like what they see and that we can go and make a great game.